All right, they say we're live, so hola, mi amigos. I'm Dan Kingerski of Pittsburgh Hockey Now on the National Hockey Now YouTube channel. So the Penguins, another impressive and dominating win on Thursday night. This time they knocked off Philadelphia Flyers. You will notice, wait, turn it this way, turn it that way. I'm in the home studio tonight. Let me slide over this way. I'm in the home studio tonight, so there'll be no technical difficulties, but we are straight to laptop, so there'll be no pictures or videos or any of the cool stuff that we can sometimes do in the downtown studios. I suppose I could go watch the game in the downtown studio, but no. And we're not traveling, obviously. I think most outlets are off the road now. I hate like hell to get quarantined. You get quarantined in Philadelphia. I mean, you're in a hotel room for 6 days at least. That might get a little bit expensive. So we're not obviously, and Pittsburgh Hockey Now still kind of working out those details with the parent club and the league to travel this season anyway, and next season and beyond. Also, before we get into the post-game show, I do want to get your comments and thoughts on the Penguins game tonight. With the sale of the big subscription site to the New York Times, I don't know if you saw, The Athletic was sold to the New York Times today for about $550 million. First of all, if somebody wants to buy me for about a quarter of that, I'm happy to talk. But more seriously, unless I'm omitting someone, unless I'm unaware of someone, the Athletic sale today now makes National Hockey Now the largest independent media outlet in North America. And we're just growing. We're just in our infancy, really. Next week, Tuesday, we will announce our 15th site. And then in the next couple of days, we'll announce our 16th site. And then we're going to announce an app and a new website design for everybody. And it's just going to be, fantastic. There'll be one subscription gets you access to all 16 sites. And we're going to really then just crank it up. We're going to really go after it hard at that point. Not bad for a little business in Pittsburgh, huh? Now let's talk about the Penguins game. Obviously, I think what you saw, especially in the first period, you saw the Penguins not play down to their opponent. That's a little bit of an important thing. Too often, sports teams will kind of take a breath when they know their opponent really can't hang, and that changes the complexity, or I guess the complexion of the game, is what I should say. But the Penguins didn't do that. There was a little bit of a feeling out process. I would say in the first 5 to 7 minutes of the game, the Penguins weren't crisp. This was the second of back-to-back games for the Penguins. And so I thought it showed a little bit in the first few minutes. They didn't play poorly. I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying things weren't crisp. Things weren't connecting. The passes weren't quite on the tape. And so a lot of perimeter play. Once things began to click, though, that's when you saw just how powerful that Penguins engine can be. Now, look, the Flyers have what, 5 players on COVID, another 5 on the IR. I get it. They're a little beat up. They're a little bit banged up, or they're a lot. I don't recall anybody pitying the Pittsburgh Penguins when Sidney Crosby, Evgeni Malkin, Jeff Carter, Jake Guentzel, Bryan Rust, Chris Letang, Brian Dumoulin were out of the lineup. I don't recall too much pity for them. And in fact, I think I even kicked them pretty good after one of those games when they had, nothing in their lineup. And the reality is I kicked the Penguins way back then. I think it was later October when everybody was out. I haven't shared this, by the way. Give me a second here. I did kind of kick the Penguins then because, you might not win the game, but effort is a controllable. Effort is something that you can always control. And that's what I tell my new writers actually. I tell my writers, like, oh, well, I have this to do and I have that to do tomorrow. I'm not sure if I'll get to that extra story. And the reality is, well, how bad do you want it? How bad do you want that bonus money? How bad do you want whatever your goal is? What are you willing to sacrifice for it? And I don't think the Flyers really had their best effort for much of the game. I thought the Flyers, largely, once the Penguins got a couple goals, I thought the Flyers looked like they accepted defeat until the last, what we'll call the last 5 to 7 minutes of the second period. The Penguins got really sloppy, and the Flyers began to legitimately press. Tristan Jarry had to make a couple beauties. And I guess in that, and we'll get to your comments here in a few seconds. I just put this out on Twitter. Make sure to subscribe and to follow the National Hockey Now YouTube channel. But in that late second period, I thought there were multiple storylines kind of intersecting. Both, in fact, I think maybe all good. Yes, the Flyers pushed. Yes, the Penguins were sloppy. It was the Penguins' course correction after that. Past iterations of the team, I think, have allowed sloppiness once it enters the game to stay. The Penguins, however, quickly broomed that from their effort and their game on Thursday night. The Penguins really did clean up their act very quickly in the third period. They course corrected. So that's storyline one. Storyline two, Tristan Jarry. At some point, right? Let me adjust that. At some point, he gets full props, right? At some point, Tristan Jarry just gets full marks. You can't just say, well, I want to see what he does in the playoffs. Because the reality is, without Tristan Jarry, the Penguins would not be so solidly in the playoffs. And the guy deserves a little bit of credit and recognition from some of you. I'm still shocked how many people are like, well, I want to wait till the playoffs. Look, if he melts down in the playoffs again, then you have a gripe, but you can't withhold everything until then. That's not really how it's supposed to work. All right, so let's see here. Hey, Fefe, we're in for a treat. Insert Scooby-Doo snack. Well, it's just a Scooby snack, Fefe. Come on, man. And no, I don't partake in Scooby snacks. I think we all kind of know what those Scooby snacks were, don't we? Those weren't dog biscuits, which is a hell of a cartoon to show to kids at 4:00. The stoner needing a snack. And then somehow they always snacked after the Scooby snacks. I wonder what the Scooby snacks could have been. Let's see here. David is eating a bowl of Frosted Flakes, watching the Hawks and Yotes. Perfect Thursday night. You're watching a Coyotes game? What the hell's wrong with you, man? You must love hockey a whole lot. Although I guess maybe you're rooting for Fleury, getting to watch that game. Let's see here. Everything looks good. Domination. Yep. Jackson says wagon. Jackson, I'm unfamiliar with that slang. What the heck does wagon mean? I'm not even sure I've seen that on Letterkenny. What the hell does wagon mean? All right. Hey, Matt, I guess I recognize a newbie. Really hope the Stars don't wear these jerseys for the Pens game. Oh, I haven't seen the Dallas Stars. Oh, wait, no, I guess last year was the third jersey. It was just basically almost all white. Oh, no, this year they have like the black with the neon green, don't they? Is that this year? They've got the black with the neon? Oh, wagon means the team is very good. Yes, yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah, the green neon ones. Matt, I kind of like those. I very much do. There are actually two cities I really want to get National Hockey Now into. And St. Louis would be one, and Dallas. Oh my, Dallas is begging for a national hockey outlet. See, the problem with some of these Midwestern cities and some of these markets that aren't big hockey markets is there's no bench of talent. Like, we do well when we go in and get an Adrian Dater, Jimmy Murphy, Joe Haggerty up in Boston. A Dan Kingerski in Pittsburgh that has a little bit of name recognition and cachet. Sheng Peng in San Jose, etc. We do well in those markets. It's the markets where we're scrambling to find somebody. We're like just pulling teeth to get the right person that we struggle. Okay, I see the trade things coming in. I do want to get to a couple of stats here. Chris Letang tonight had a trio of assists. I thought Letang played really well. Let's remove that chunk of time later in the second period when the entire team kind of, was playing like poo. We can remove that chunk of time. But what you've seen from Letang last couple nights, and he was blunt about it this week after Penguins practice. What's today? Thursday. So I think it would have been, what day did I have off? And Shelley was there Tuesday? Yeah. They were off Monday. So it was practice on Tuesday. Letang, after he said he wanted to play 5 more years, also said he wanted to score more goals this year. And you've seen Letang push the issue in the last couple of games, especially. You saw him below the goal line tonight. You saw him with the speed down the wall. He wasn't just getting the puck and poking it, just kind of, chipping it down low. He was carrying it down low. And his head was up. He's looking for that play. He's also looking for that shot. And he's pressing the issue, or I should say forcing the issue. Pressing is a bad thing. That I think bodes well for the Penguins when Letang is on his game like that. Mike Matheson is starting to pick it up as well. Had a couple wicked wristas tonight, did Matheson. He and John Marino still, they need to sync up their cycles. Do Marino and Matheson, because one will have a good game, then the other one will have a good game. But I rarely see them both have their A game on the same night. I think the Penguins would really benefit from that. Guentzel is on pace for 50 goals. I think the Penguins would settle for 13, yeah? Or not 13, 30. If Guentzel gets to 30 goals, I think we call that a successful season, do we not? Bryan Rust has been very important. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Scoring 20 goals has been very important to Bryan Rust. He's been candid about that to us, and as back in the days when we were in the locker room, talking about how much it meant to him to kind of get over that specific mile marker to say, hey, I'm a goal scorer. Rust is intellectual like that. He kind of, he appreciates the game in that, and he knows if he scores more than 20 goals, he does get put in a different category. Well, it appears Bryan Rust is trying to score 20 goals this season, but all this month. This is a vintage Bryan Rust tear. What is that? 2, 4, 7 goals in the last 3 games? Do I have my math correct? Rust had that in 2019, 18-19 when he had the breakout. 19. COVID has my seasons all screwed up, completely foobarred. It would have been 18-19 when he had that. What was it? 1 goal in the first 28 games Bryan Rust had. And then he went on that tear, got 17 goals, and he was just 6 weeks. He piled every bit of offense that he could into those 6 weeks. And then he kind of went cold again. So in 2019-20, that's when he bust out for the 22 and then, or 27 and then 22 last season. So it's when he gets on one of these heaters, you just you give him the puck and you let go. Let's see here. Fiala and Greenway for Cappy Zucker. Guerin should take it. I happen to know that Billy Guerin, he considered moving Fiala, and then he didn't. He can get a bit more than Kapanen and Jason Zucker. All of our bad players for all of your good players, right? Malkin, Carter coming back should be interesting. I know you love watches. My friend from work bought the Penguins Rolex watch. Hey, you know what? I do love watches, and my latest one arrived. I don't know if I should tell you the story about the watch or not. It's a little bit of a sordid history that the watch has. In fact, it came today. Hang on. Okay, let's see here. This is, you can kind of catch the green face a little bit. It's a little bit of a unique watch. In fact, here, I will show you the name brand of the watch. Can you, I guess it shows up backwards on the screen. It's a Zodiac. And it's a Swiss watch company that's been in business since 1882. They have, it's not one of those brands that went out of business 50 years ago and some venture capitalists bought it to put out Chinese crap. They're still legitimately making watches in Switzerland, very high quality. It has the genuine handmade movements, and it's a wonderful watch. The plastic's still on it. I haven't taken the plastic off of it yet. That's why it's kind of not showing well. The history of that watch, and the reason I laugh about it, the Zodiac watch, or a Zodiac watch, the prime suspect in the Zodiac murders, in fact, wore a Zodiac Seawolf watch. That's not a Seawolf. That is the Grand Rally. But it just kind of makes me chuckle that, that watch is probably $1,000 or even a more expensive watch, but maybe because a little bit of their market position, I'm able to get it for a lot less, which makes me very happy. For what I paid for it, hell. But so I can say I guess I got a serial killer's watch. The fact that the movie back in 2019 or 2009, when Jake Gyllenhaal was into the convenience store and sees the prime suspect, he has the Zodiac watch. Anyway, I do like my timepieces. Okay, yes, Malkin and Carter coming back should be very interesting. Look, the Penguins are going to lose a game here between now and the end of the season. That's, I think, first and foremost, right? But two, they are going to have to adjust. And I've been telling you this now for a couple of weeks since Malkin was, kind of getting close. It's going to be an adjustment period. Malkin's not going to be on his A game. In fact, I wonder if Jeff Carter will be on his A game. He's had, maybe a little bit of a COVID delay. And believe me, I know how that works. It's not easy on the body. I lasted probably about 6 weeks with the fatigue, and of course I had Delta, not Omicron. If I could held on a few more weeks, I would have just had Omicron. Which, by the way, Omicron is only like a cold if you're vaccinated. You can ask Evander Kane what it's like we don't know if he's not or is. He was suspended for submitting a fake vax card. I don't know if Evander Kane is vaccinated or not, but he is one of the few NHL players having real and significant symptoms in this Omicron phase. I think he's been out for a couple or a few weeks now from the San Jose Barracuda. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but good Lord, it's an easy choice, I think. Is there any possibility the Pens can re-sign all of Rust, Erod, Gino, and Letang? Possibility? Okay, well let's do this. I don't have the whiteboard behind me. Let me grab Puckpedia because Jackson, I want to be fair to you here. Let me grab Puckpedia. Actually, no, I'm going to go to Cap Friendly and check out the Penguins' salary cap for next season. I don't think they can re-sign everybody at market value. Look, part of that depends on how rich of a guy Evgeni Malkin is, right? And how much he's willing to accept below what might be market value. Full market value for Evgeni Malkin, assuming he has the type of season we've come to expect from the big guy, is probably somewhere like, look, if he hit the free agent market at this point. I did this analysis a couple weeks ago, and of course, fanboys had to start nitpicking. Joe Pavelski, at 36 years old, signed a 3-year, $21 million deal. Pavelski, at that point with the San Jose Sharks, was just about a point per game guy. Obviously, he's not in the category of Evgeni Malkin. He got 321. So with the rising salary cap, with everything the way it is now, Malkin at very least, full market value, very minimum, gets a 324 deal. Probably 327, maybe even a 4-year deal at like a 432 kind of deal. And every dollar I think below 8 million that Malkin accepts is probably a victory for the Penguins. Let me find Cap Friend. Where did my little window go? Oh, here it is. I'm right on it already. Okay. So the Penguins have a lot of free agents. They've got 20, 37, and they've got about $41 million committed. Well, 42 we'll call it. Well, 41.5 million. So that means they're going to have about 41 million to play with next season. They will need a backup goalie. That's 1.5 million. So now they're down to 40 million. So let's talk Malkin. Let's hold Evgeni Malkin at $8 million, right? Okay, so now we're down to 32 million. And you want to sign Rust, Erod, and Letang. Let's put Letang 7 million. That puts us down to 25. Now, Bryan Rust, 6 years, 36 million. I don't give that to Bryan Rust. That's just, I'm not downplaying Bryan Rust. I'm just saying it's, 636, too rich for my blood. I think maybe Rust, I don't know if other teams will give him that either. But boy, if he keeps on a pace like this, somebody does, right? Some team who feels like they're close to breaking through, has a good center or two, is going to say, okay, you know what? You're worth it for that leadership value. You're worth it for that experience factor. And a team, I'm trying to think, Detroit is maybe a little too far away. Maybe a team like Vancouver sheds some salary to sign a guy like Bryan Rust, or Anaheim seems to be coming on, and they could use a guy like that. So there's a handful of teams that you look at that signs Bryan Rust, but we're down to what, 25 million already, right? Let's talk about Rust, and let's say 5 million. So now we're down to 20 million, and we have to get to Erod yet. Evan Rodriguez. We've got 20 million bucks in Evan Rodriguez. I said 3 years, 9 million a couple of weeks ago. I'm starting to think that's going up, isn't it? That's starting to be about 3.5. If you give a 4-year deal, if you give a short deal, probably 4 million. Like if you try to give him a 3-year deal, it's going to cost you 4 million per. So, let's call it 3.5. So now we're down to 16.5. Who else am I missing? That's all 4 of those guys. But now you have to fill out the rest of the roster. You have to give Kasperi Kapanen a new contract. He's an RFA. At this pace, good Lord, you might give him, a bottle of IBC root beer. But 3.5. So now we're down to 13 million. You have to sign Zach Aston Reese or an equivalent. That's $2 million. $11 million. Danton Heinen, probably $2 million. Now we're down to $9 million. Then we've got a fourth line. Well, actually, I don't think they need to sign a fourth line center. I think Drew O'Connor probably gets that role next year. Dominic Simone gets at least $1 million. I really like him as a Penguin. He just fits every part of Mike Sullivan's game and system. He's not Mike Sullivan's pet. He's just a perfect little weapon for Mike Sullivan's game. So we'll call that $1 million. Now we're down to $10 million. And they have to sign at least one more defenseman anyway. Yeah, you know what? $7 million? That can't be right. I have to be missing somebody or something. Otherwise, I just solved everybody's problems. So yeah, I guess it is possible without any upgrades that the Penguins re-sign everybody. If I made a mistake or if you think I lowballed somebody, I'm happy to have that conversation. Kind of doing that on the fly with you here. What concerns me is that the Blues, Flyers, and the Stars game coming up are heavy teams, and it seems they do wear us down at some points in the game, and Crosby shouldn't have to be fighting for himself. I'm not sure anybody has worn down the Penguins. The Capitals are supposed to be a heavy team, and the Penguins kind of dominated them a couple of weeks ago as part of this winning streak. St. Louis certainly didn't wear down the Penguins, quite the contrary. The Flyers, well, you didn't see any part of the Flyers on Thursday night. So was Letang missing in my math? No, I thought I gave Letang 7. Yeah, because we went from 40 down to 32 for Malkin, and then from 32 to 25 for Letang. Now, that's if Malkin only signs for $8 million and Letang only signs for $7 million. Do we get down to like $6 million left? I think 8 is fair for Malkin. But boy, you're like, hey, will you take 5? What would you do with that money, though? Isn't that a fair question? If I sign for less, what will you do with the money? What are the Penguins get? I guess maybe they sign Bryan Rust comfortably if they do. Oh, Mrs. Brandon Tanev. You know, I miss the electricity that Brandon Tanev brings to a hockey game. There's a certain stability that Brock McGinn brings on that third line. There's a clear stability that Brock McGinn brings. There's no mistakes on that third line. There's none. Maybe Tanev got out of position. Maybe they got a little wild and woolly last couple of years. With McGinn being a bit more under control and a bit more surgical, a bit more targeted, that line doesn't get scored on. I should look that up. That would be an interesting little storyline for the next couple of days here. That line. By the way, tonight, the fourth line, let me hit this stat. I wish I could show you no, I guess I can't share my screen in any way. Let's see, can I? No, it doesn't look like I can. But the Penguins' fourth line with Boyle, Bjorkquist, and Simone, they had 7 scoring chances. It doesn't count Brian Boyle's shorty. This is at 5-on-5. They had 7 scoring chances. You know how many they allowed? None. That's impressive. That's just flat out impressive. That, and I think my eye test too, they were playing in the offensive zone. They were working the puck down low. They might not have been, blitzing with the grade A, the highlight reel scoring chances, but in fact, they were just working the corners. Okay, I'm not going to finish that joke. They were working in the corners and on the wall and in the gritty areas, as well as any line in the hockey game. All right, what else you guys want to talk? I wish I could bring you the videos as well. I'm gonna have to maybe you know what, the next time that ESPN offers us an awful feed like they did tonight, I don't know about your feed. My timeline was full of people complaining about their ESPN Plus or their Hulu feed on Thursday night. Mine was subpar as well. It would get a little bit blurry. I buffered probably half a dozen times, and it even dropped me probably 4 or 5 times, right? To reconnect. But as soon as I tweeted that, like 5 people, my feed is fine. My feed is perfect. Like, what do you work for ESPN? Shut up and let us complain. The multitude of us having issues. Shut up. That's what I was thinking. ESPN really, I'm trying not to be too heavy-handed in my criticism. However, people who spend all this money on the NHL network, or NHL TV online, now have to buy a separate subscription to watch, these handful of games. Come on, it's a little bit bush league. It's a little bit money grabbing, and it doesn't. This is kind of the shamelessness of where professional sports are in 2021. If I had told you 20 years ago that top casinos and sports books would be primary sponsors of sports leagues, you'd be like, yeah, right. And if I told you further that those same top casinos and sports books would not only be sponsoring broadcasts and all of this, but they would also be partners with the league. Friend of mine, helped us get the Canadian sites off the ground a few months ago. Spreads.ca is now partnering. I hope I'm not okay, so I don't get anybody in trouble. I think it's public now, but in case it's not, is partnering with an NHL team. Imagine all of this. And I'll tell you what, DraftKings, FanDuel, and Barstool Sportsbook, not Barstool Sports, but Barstool Sportsbook, are treating me very well lately. Very well. So it's a new world, but it doesn't mean you get to be shameless in the money grab, right? I mean, I think we all have kind of that, okay, we will let you grab my wallet to a point, but when you start to abuse that privilege, I think we all recoil. And these extra games on ESPN Plus or Hulu exclusively just seem to smack a little bit of that extra money grab. ESPN Plus makes me miss commercials when I have to see Peyton and Brady nonstop. Yeah, what is it? Like the same 3 promos run over and over and over. I mean, come on. At some point, just like take a little bit, they put like a little viral GIF together, 15 seconds, like one of those little dashboard hula girls just dancing or something else besides the same 3 promos over and over again. It's kind of like I grew up in small market radio. When I was 18, this is when I began my media career in Williamsport, PA, and then Lock Haven before I came to Latrobe. And then I finally got into the Pittsburgh market when I was 23, 24. But you can always tell the small market stations and the satellite stations, they play the same damn 4 commercials over and over again. And it begins to just make everything seem cheap and cheesy. And yeah, the ESPN broadcasts certainly have that. They just keep showing the same damn thing over and over. It's like watching Yellowstone. And Paramount shows the same 4 promos for 1883 and that other show with Jeremy Renner over and over and over again. It's like, we got it. The show is on. We see that. All right. Don't need the ad money when we pay $6.99. Isn't that supposed to be the way it is, right? Guentzel every season shows me he isn't just a product of Crosby. That would be a very interesting discussion because I think if you put Jake Guentzel beside Teddy Bluger, he's a 15 goal guy. It's not to say he's a product of Crosby, but Jake Guentzel, how should I put it? Analogy. Jake Guentzel is like racing tires. He's not going to work on your beater car, but you put him on a race car and you really get greater performance. How's that? How's that for a little bit of an analogy? I don't think it has to be Crosby. It could be Malkin. It could be anybody. Jake Guentzel could go play with Vegas, Jack Eichel. Eichel's coming back next week, it looks like, by the way. Our Owen Krebs in Vegas was doing that. I think anybody, I think you put Guentzel with a top center, he will figure out how to play with that center. By the way, here's the PHN Plus report card tonight. For everybody who is on board, let me give you the coupon code to subscribe. And this little coupon code will give you 50% off PHN Plus. Use code. Well, I'm going to make you look at the screen. I'm not going to say it just in case you're watching later and you're not paying attention. I'm going to make you look at the chat. There is the coupon code for 50% off a PHN Plus subscription. Okay, we've done about 35 minutes here of post game. I wish I could bring the interviews to you, but I guess in absence of an AT&T Sports, I thought I would roll one out tonight. These West Coast games, I'm not going to do one at 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm just not. Oh, Holtby is porous tonight. Well, Holtby's still having a great season. I haven't checked his numbers in a few weeks, not since the world shut down again, or at least the NHL shut down again. But Holtby made Anton Khudobin expendable. He has put Jake Ottinger on the bench, and Holtby has been the man. Oh, save of the year and then tying goal 5 seconds later. So here's your last call. Things you saw tonight that I probably should have included in the report card, or things we haven't already talked about in this here live chat. You got about 30 seconds to jump on the board. And I appreciate everybody from, Dave and Matt and Fefe. Jackson too. I'm rolling back through to see who else. Make sure I got everybody. Ron and sometimes I feel like I'm just starting to, like a small paper has to put everybody's kid in the paper at least once a year, so everyone keeps their subscription to the paper. I have to mention your name. I think Heinen is replaceable as well this season. I do too. As nice as Heinen's offensive production has been, I don't think there's anything irreplaceable there. I certainly don't think that he's more than a couple $1 million guy. And if he wants like 3 or more, it's okay. Let's see here. Dave says DeSmith or... Oh, is that in terms of the Penguins' backup goalie next year? Look, someone I trust who knows the Penguins very well, knows hockey as well as anybody else that I know, excluding Scotty Bowman. I don't really know Scotty. But it said to me the other night at the Penguins game, I'm not going to crap all over DeSmith. He's still good. Okay. I take that with some seriousness. I take that under consideration. I will tell you what I see, which differs from the I will not crap on Casey DeSmith crowd. I'm not going to build rails and run him out of town with anger like a lot of people seem to want to do. But I will say that a backup goalie like that does have a shelf life. And as teams kind of figure out how to beat him, as the game continues to change, as everything begins, continues to evolve, and as Tristan Jarry soaks up more and more playing time. We're not going to take Tristan Jarry out just to give Casey DeSmith a start. DeSmith, I think, has maybe been a little bit exposed this season. Teams are beating him in the same manner time and time again. They're picking on that glove hand. They're going short side, and they're shooting from long ranges intentionally. For whatever reason, Smith seems to be having trouble picking up the longer shots. And I wonder about his shelf life. I wonder if he had to come in the playoffs. If Washington, Carolina, the Rangers, Boston, whoever they wind up finishing, would blitz him. Let's catastrophize here for a second. Let's go to the worst case scenario of the worst case scenario. The Penguins make the playoffs, and Tristan Jarry has the meltdown, and you turn to Casey DeSmith. I don't know that DeSmith would be any better than he has been in this regular season. Now, I also don't think that Tristan Jarry is going to melt down again. Look, that stick swinging tonight, that was Tristan Jarry announcing to the Flyers, like, you're not going to screw with me. That comes from confidence. That is a bit of swagger. That is a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. That is all the good things that you want to see from your players. I'm sure the Penguins loved it when he just put the lumber to Scott Laughton. And that was not a soft slash. Those paddles hurt. Those paddles are heavy. And they're actually a little bit sharp, too. Kind of the way they kind of diamond down and up. You catch the edge on that paddle. The way he swung it, that hurts. And I'm sure the Penguins loved it. But that's also why I don't think Tristan Jarry is in any danger of not having a great playoff series or run. I maintain, I know my competition. I'm not going to criticize, but I kind of saw on Twitter people discussing my competition. Oh, they say Penguins are special this season. Well, you and I were talking about that last week, weren't we? And on Monday, I kind of made it official, didn't we? So consider yourselves a week ahead of everybody else. For those of you who like to join these live chats with me, you were at least a week ahead, if not a bit more. All right. So let's see. I think that's everybody and everything. It's been a blast. I'm going to get back to writing a little bit more. I am always grateful for your support. Do me a favor before you go. Give me a little bit of a like. Give me that thumbs up. If you didn't like what we did tonight, just kind of the informal chat, you can always give me the thumbs down, but you have to tell me why in the comments. Why you gave me the thumbs down. Them's the rules. You're just going to have to live by them. Make sure to subscribe so that we get up to 1,000. That's the next goal, so we start getting paid for these little informal chats. Subscribe. Did you subscribe to PHN, Matt? Did you use that hat trick code? Much appreciated. Really do appreciate everybody who jumps on board with that. And like I said at the beginning of the show, my God, we're the biggest independent media outlet, sports media outlet now. I think we are. I was racking my brain on who might be bigger. That uses professionals anyway. I mean, look, there's SB Nation and there's like the Sports Illustrated Fan Nation. Respect to them. There are some people there who just want to write sports as a hobby. That's what the blogosphere is all about. God bless them. But those folks aren't doing it to put food on the table. I think we're it, man. I think we're the biggest. So cheers to all of you for helping us, and just wait till you see what I got for you next. All right. Have fun. That's it. Like and subscribe. Cheers. Bye.